I change your bum life. You fight me, it's a celebration. When you sign to fight me, it's a celebration. You ring back home, you ring your wife. Baby, we done it. We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red panties.
Are you ready?
That goes in the files.
Are you ready? Let's get it all!
Yo, welcome back to the fifth round. It's always your boy, Stephen Moustaris, and I got little Gracie over the shoulder right there. But, guys, let's get straight into it. You know, as us MMA fans, and I guess more so people who watch the UFC, you know, we've been blessed this year already. And if you want to even be technical, the last 2 or 3 weeks have been phenomenal for us fans. You know, not only have we got the John Jones return and one of the most stacked cards that we'll get all year, maybe even the last couple years in UFC 285. And then 2 weeks later, we get another stacked card. You got the Edwards and Kamaru Usman rematch, and you got the Justin Gaethje Fiziev fight, and all the stacked fights that were on there. UFC 286, and then UFC 287. Of course, we got Pereira versus Izzy, and then we got Jorge Masvidal coming back to fight Gilbert. You know, the whole thing. You know, we're stacked. You know, International Fight Week we're geeked about in July. We got Conor McGregor's return. You know, hopefully an International Fight Week. We got the Jones and Stipe fight. You know, just so many matchups that are, about to be matched up after all these fights that are coming up. And we've been blessed as fans, and it's been amazing. You know, the Abu Dhabi cards are about to be coming up. They're about to be traveling a lot more. You know, it's been phenomenal. But I guess the one thing that's been taken over recently, and it's kind of got me scratching my head a tad, probably, I guess it's not fair because I've been a big fan of the sport for the last, 15 years or whatever. And it's been cool to see it grow. But, I guess I got to remember that there are fans that are coming in and not used to this yet. But just the whole Colby Covington, chaos going on, not to be funny or punny with his nickname. But still, it's like, I wasn't going to talk about it at all really other than, mention that he was the weigh-in, the backup fighter for UFC 286, which really isn't that big of a deal to me. We see backup fighters all the time. Pavlovich, Sergey Pavlovich, the heavyweight, weighed in just to back up for the Rogan and John Jones fight, and nobody made that big of a deal about it, and then all of a sudden Colby gets it, and it's like, oh, where have you been since the Jorge Masvidal thing, where he snuck up on you in the at dinner or whatever, that whole crazy mess where broke his tooth, got his broke his Rolex, got him suing him and all this stuff, and then Colby comes out of nowhere, and he made bigger splash on social medias and stuff, if that matters, made a bigger splash than anything, even just the weigh-ins for Leon or Kamaru. So, I mean, that part was pretty huge and everything. But then, all of a sudden, Dana White in the post-fight press conferences always says he never makes fights on the night of the fights. But all of a sudden he's saying Colby's for sure got the next title fight, which, raised a whole hell on, Twitter and MMA media in general, just because Bilal Muhammad, winning his big, win streaks and everything. And they're like, oh, why does Colby get to come off of these fights after losing the belt twice or losing to the champion twice? And then, this is the part where it starts getting a little out of hand, and you can't really defend him because I'm not defending him to begin with, but it's just the fact that, he starts threatening, John Anik, and the next day, like in the next couple days, he has those interviews with like MMA fighting and all this stuff, and he's sitting there blasting all the fighters, which we're used to. All of us should be used to, calling Hamzat cum shot and doing all this thing, talking about Leon's always been ducking him. And, same thing with Bilal. Bilal deserves to be fighting other people and, all these things. And Jorge Masvidal is a pussy and all these things he says. But then when he starts going at people that are, non-fighters and, just guys like John Anik, the way he's going at him, threatening his life and all this shit, that's just undefensible, but like undefendable. But the one thing that's tough is, at the end of the day, we need this stuff. As sad as it is, as true as it is, us as fight fans, us as sports fans, and, especially the way that social media and stuff, like, we're always crying about how we want fighters to get paid more and get more recognition and stuff. And guess what? We need those heels. We need those bad guys in these sports, man. Like, I don't want to get all WWE on people because I know it's fake and everything, but, like, why do you think Ric Flair was such a big guy? Why do you think Hulk Hogan was such a big guy? Why do you think Vince McMahon's such a big guy? Why do you think these guys have a billion-dollar company year after year after year after year, multi-billion-dollar companies? Is because they understand you need people to hate to love another big guy. Like, that's what it is in any sport. Like, if you wanted to love LeBron James, guess what? You needed people like Lance Stevenson, and you needed like the guys like Steph Curry that are going to go stack a team, and guys like KD that are going to go stack teams where you can start hating them so you can love LeBron more. Same with Michael Jordan with the bad boy Pistons. Everybody had to hate the Pistons to love them, and then not to mention just rivalries and everything. Michigan, Ohio State, Los Angeles, and Boston when it comes to basketball. You go on for days and days and days, and like clearly I live in Ohio, so it's easy to bring up Ohio State, Michigan, the Browns versus the Steelers, which isn't even a rivalry because the Steelers are always kicking their ass. But still, like, you need these things in everything. Like, you needed Richard Sherman to be talking his shit, on the Seahawks for you to love Tom Brady. Like, that's just what it is. You're going to always need these guys to hate, to love the bigger guys more and to make them superheroes. Because without people that we're going to dislike and, disagree with, or heels that are out here doing the thing, like, we're never going to have our guys that we love, like the Anderson Silvas, until, he took, pot for, steroids or whatever. A lot of people were pissed about that, the PEDs, but, still, like the Israel Adesanyas, the Max Holloways, the Conor McGregor coming up, we all, you need the Chael Sonnens to be pissing off everybody to love John Jones more, to love Anderson Silva more, you needed all these people to come in just talking shit for, GSP to love him, or like everything. We just need these people. It's just what it is. And, Colby Covington, as funny as it is too, I know a lot of people are hating it, but it's funny for me because I see all these people. Like, I don't know any of these guys personally, but I just see the true guys that, like, like, not to be funny, but the Joe Rogans out there, the, Kamaru Usman's got plenty of them out there. You see, you hear all these fighters talk about how they get to meet Colby, like, off the camera, and he's one of the nicest guys in the world, and he's always really open about how, and there's videos of him even saying it, like how he had to switch up his gimmick and everything just to to be relevant in the sport and to hopefully get the numbers on him, because guess what? We see it all the time with guys. Skill's going to get you certain far, like, distance in this sport. It's going to get you to the dance. But once everybody has skill and you just so happen to be a little bit more boring than, other people, those other people that are like just as skillful as you, but have a little more to bring to the mic and stuff, it's what's going to happen. And it sucks. And I don't like it personally because guess what? I am a fan of Bilal Muhammad, even though I have talking over the years how I thought he's a little boring of a fighter just because to me, he never really was looking for finishes, but he's changed his camp over in the last couple of years and he's realized, what he needs to do when he's fighting these big guys. And especially when you're getting up to killers, you're going to have to be ready to finish them. And Bilal Muhammad's been showing it with these guys. So that's why he's made me a fan. He's made me a believer, and anybody can change their game. But guess what? It sucks for Bilal. He doesn't have the mic skills. He doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't have that stuff that a Colby Covington has, who, guess what? Yeah, might not be on the same winning streak as him, but Colby was before, and Colby has proven it time after time he is a top dog in this game. He is a very good fighter. Nobody can take that away from him. So that's like, so one thing, it's just, we got to be appreciative, I guess I should say. Like, I'm always talking about how we need to be appreciative of our guys while we have them. It sucks that we start appreciating, like, the Frankie Edgars and the Donald Cerrone's, and I can go on for days about these certain fighters, that we've seen over the years, that Rashad Evans, the Chuck Liddells. We can go on for days and days and days about these guys that we get to see retire. BJ Penn, all these guys that it doesn't go well for them. Their final fight, it's always them, face down, ass up, and it's sad as hell, but it's usually what goes, and that's when we finally started, appreciating these guys. But it's like, we got to start seeing this before it comes. Like, the guys like Justin Gaethje, Jorge Masvidal, these guys that are getting older in the game, John Jones, Stipe Miocic, these guys that have been around forever, like Max Holloways, all these guys, they might be young. Some of them might be young in age still, but guess what? They've been up there and they've been in so many fights. Guess your body's not meant to be doing that forever, and we need to be appreciating them because we only got a couple more years of these guys. And guess what? Colby just so happens to be one of those guys too. As much as we hate him, at the end of the day, I truly believe once it becomes the Hall of Fame time, and once we go back and we're looking 10, 15 years from now, 20, 30 years from now, Colby Covington's going to be remembered as one of the best heels ever, like a Chael Sonnen. Like, look, that's like the prime example. People hated Chael Sonnen. He was always losing the big fights, but his mouth was getting him to the dance. He'd get his ass kicked left and right, and he had that one great performance against Anderson Silva, which he lost in the last minute of the fight because he tapped and all that shit, and it changed his thing forever. But still, that was what validated him, and they knew that he could do it. But it's like, hey, guess what? We're just going to let the mouth talk. And everybody hated him. Everybody hated him for so long and was happy when he got his ass kicked. And now look, you got people all the time throwing memes out there and doing all these things about Chael P. Sonnen, undefeated, 48-0, never lost, beating everybody's champion, 5-time champion, 6-time champion. Like, it's one of the funniest things ever, and we all appreciate him. His YouTube's killing it. Everything he's on, he's killing it. It's Uncle Chael, like, just what it is, and that's what's going to happen with Colby one day. And maybe not to the level of Chael. I don't know if Colby wants to, go the media route, but he sure as hell has got the mouth for it. He sure has got the charisma for it. So, yeah, I don't like him either. And be the first one to say it. Like, I'm not the fan. I don't like Colby Covington. I think he's an amazing fighter, but I don't like the shtick. I don't think you should have to do that. I'm a certain fan of just, I see guys, perform all the time. Like, no offense, like even Alexa Grasso. I know it's funny timing, but still, Alexa Grasso doesn't talk at all. She's one of the nicest ladies ever. She just literally goes in there and fights. And that's one of my favorite fighters, you know. I like these guys that go in there, like the Shavkat Rakhmanovs and these guys that you see go in there, the Jeff Neals and these guys that, you know, Vicente Luques and all these different fighters that are just absolutely every day in and out. You know, the Chris Curtis is out there. Shouts out to you guys. But, like, these guys that go in there every damn fight card and don't have the mouth really, and they don't care about being out there and being the Colbys, the Connors. They don't care about that shit. They just care about performing and showing how good of athletes they are. And those are my favorite fighters, man. But yeah, I know they'll never get the love. But seriously, we need these Colby Covingtons. We need these guys out here. We need these Sean Stricklands. We need these guys out here that will hate so we can love the other guys more. And they're gonna bring the eyes to the fucking show. And these guys are gonna get paid as much as they deserve. Like, we see it in every sport. There's so many guys out there that we hate. Like, NBA needs those guys. They need the Dennis Rodmans. They need the Lance Stevensons. They need the Dylan Brooks. You know, they need these guys. They need the Draymond Greens to hate so they can love the LeBrons and love the, you know, the Stephs and the KD and all these guys. But seriously, so I get why he's getting hate. I understand it. I don't think you should ever be able to threaten John Anik or anybody that's a non-fighter. And just because it's a non-fighter, you shouldn't be able to threaten them. But luckily for most of us, we understand that this is all a gimmick and it's all a joke and it's just to bring eyes to the show. And he's probably not going to touch John Anik. And guess what? The security team for the UFC is going to be on it. It's never even going to be close to happening. But guess what? John Anik's popping up more than he's ever popped before. Probably getting more appreciation than he's ever gotten before. Colby Covington's getting probably a lot more hate than he's ever gotten before. But guess what? It's bringing eyes to the fucking prize, baby. And it's bringing it to the show. And that's what these guys deserve. They need the money. And guess what? If we want our favorite fighters to be getting paid as much as they deserve, we need these guys that are bringing the eyes to the show, like a Colby's and stuff. Like, yeah, they might not win championships, or maybe he will one day. Who knows? Colby can, but, you know, the Chael Sonnen, these guys, you know, maybe not going to be the greatest of all time or anything, but guess what? They're going to have Hall of Fame careers, and they're going to be remembered, and they're going to be remembered for bringing all these eyes to the show. So you got to appreciate it while we got it, man, seriously, because it's at the end of the day, it's all for the greater good as much as it is. And I know people think that, oh, this stuff isn't good for the eyes. We need respect for the game and stuff. It's fighting, motherfucker. The people that truly care about fighting aren't going to give a shit about what's respectful. We had one of our favorite guys, everybody's favorite, Conor McGregor, sitting in the middle of the fucking ring with his leg broken, yelling, "Oh, your wife's in my DMs, like, Dr. Stoppage, fuck you," yelling all these crazy fucking things. And I know that wasn't even a fucking Irish accent, but still, you understand. Like, this guy was yelling some of the darkest things. It was one of the scariest moments, like, that I remember, at least from like a psychotic fucking point of view. Like, that was one of the scariest times ever in the UFC when Conor McGregor's going full leprechaun mode doing that. So, look, people remember him and love him. Like, who gives a shit? It's fighting. That's what it is. These guys are respectful to each other. It's a sport. But, like, at the end of the day, you're trying to knock my head off. I'm trying to knock your head off. So it's like, come on, baby. We need this shit, guys. So seriously, I'm not defending Colby at all. That should not be, that at least threatening people's lives and shit should not be on the thing unless you're fighting them, because that happens all the time. But still, that's not, you can't defend that. But still, guys, we need this shit. You need your heels. You need your heroes. Guess who's gonna make you a hero? The supervillain. So who knows, baby? At the end of the day, I just love this shit for everything, because it's making Leon a better chance of making more money this next fight. It's got Colby making more money. It's got all these people making more money. So it's better for business. So as always, your boy Stephen Moustaris, the 5th round. Let's go, baby.